You think deep frying was just tossing food into hot grease? Think again. African American grandmothers perfected techniques that food scientists now praise as culinary genius. Here are 30 banned deep frying techniques scientists now recommend. Double dipping in seasoned flour was a technique African American cooks mastered generations before culinary schools taught coating methods. The process involved dredging meat in seasoned flour, dipping it into buttermilk, and coating it again before frying. This created multiple layers, sealing in moisture while building shatteringly crisp exterior. Scientists confirm the double layer creates a barrier slowing moisture loss, keeping interior tender while the outside achieves maximum crunch. Grandmothers knew this instinctively, passing the method down without laboratory validation. The technique was popular for fried chicken and catfish, where extra coating absorbed seasonings and developed deeper flavor. Modern chefs rediscovered what black kitchens never forgot: patience produces results no shortcut can match. Resting meat at room temperature before frying was considered dangerous by modern standards, yet African American cooks practiced it for generations with remarkable results. Pulling chicken from the refrigerator 30 minutes before frying allowed protein to temper, ensuring even cooking throughout. Cold meat dropped into hot oil causes temperature shock, leading to uneven cooking where outside burns while inside stays underdone. Scientists acknowledge brief room temperature resting produces superior texture and doneness. The technique also prevented excessive oil splatter since warmer meat released less moisture violently upon contact with hot fat. Grandmothers understood rushing the process never yielded best results, and their patience created fried foods with perfect interiors. Using lard instead of vegetable oil was standard in African American kitchens until industrial marketing convinced generations that processed oils were healthier. Pure rendered pork fat created fried foods with unmatched flavor and impossibly crisp textures vegetable oils cannot replicate. Lard has a higher smoke point than many vegetable oils, remaining stable at frying temperatures without breaking down into harmful compounds. Scientists revisited the demonization of animal fats, finding lard contains less saturated fat than butter and no artificial trans fats. African American grandmothers rendered their own lard from pork fat, ensuring purity commercial products cannot match. What was dismissed as backward cooking has been vindicated by nutritional science, proving traditional wisdom was ahead of its time. Salting meat hours before frying was a practice modern cooks abandoned in favor of last-minute seasoning. Yet, African American kitchens maintained this tradition with delicious results. The technique involved generously salting chicken or fish and allowing it to rest for several hours or overnight before cooking. Salt draws moisture to the surface initially, but over time dissolves and is reabsorbed, carrying flavor deep into meat while restructuring proteins for better texture. Scientists call this dry brining, and research confirms it produces juicier, more flavorful results than immediate cooking. The method seasons meat throughout rather than just on surface, eliminating bland bites. Grandmothers knew good fried chicken required overnight preparation, and patience produced legendary results. Frying in cast iron instead of non-stick pans was the only option in traditional African American kitchens, and science confirms this was superior choice. Cast iron retains heat exceptionally well, maintaining consistent oil temperature even when cold food is added, preventing greasy results from temperature drops. Heavy pans distribute heat evenly, eliminating hot spots that burn some pieces while undercooking others. Scientists documented that properly seasoned cast iron develops natural non-stick surface rivaling synthetic coatings without chemical concerns. The iron leaches small amounts of dietary iron into food, providing nutritional benefits modern cookware cannot offer. These pans pass through generations, gaining better seasoning with each use. What seemed stubborn tradition was wisdom about heat management. Preheating low and slow was essential wisdom that separated experienced cooks from beginners in black kitchens of the 1950s. Grandmothers never rushed their cast iron, understanding that heavy pans needed time to heat evenly across their entire surface. A skillet placed over high flame developed hot spots that burned food in patches. Instead, the pan went over low heat for 15 minutes, the iron gradually absorbing warmth until every inch reached the same temperature. Only then would the flame increase. Children learned patience watching this process. The evenly heated surface meant chicken browned uniformly, cornbread developed consistent crust, and nothing stuck. This technique protected the seasoning too, preventing thermal shock that could damage the finish. The slow approach extended the pan's life across generations. Adding a splash of vinegar to buttermilk marinades was a subtle technique transforming ordinary fried chicken into something extraordinary. African American cooks discovered extra acid, tenderized, tough cuts more effectively than buttermilk alone while enhancing flavor penetration. The acidic environment breaks down proteins on meat's surface, creating texture, holding breading better, and developing deeper browning during frying. Scientists confirm acid marinades denature proteins, improving moisture retention and tenderness without turning meat mushy. The vinegar balanced richness of fried foods, adding brightness cutting through fat. This small addition made the difference between good and legendary fried chicken, a secret passed between generations without explanation, just faithful instruction. Gravy-making mastery depended on cast iron's form. The brown bits stuck to the pan that formed the flavor foundation. Black cooks in the 1960s understood that real gravy started with what remained after frying meat, and no pan held fawn-like cast iron. After chicken or pork chops were removed, flour was sprinkled into the hot drippings and stirred until browned. Milk or broth was added gradually, the mixture thickening as it absorbed those caramelized meat flavors. The resulting gravy tasted like the dish it accompanied because it was built from the same ingredients. This wasn't gravy from a packet. It was gravy earned through proper cooking technique. Biscuits swimming in this gravy became meals themselves. The skillet's textured surface held form better than smooth modern pans ever could. Letting battered foods rest before frying seemed counterintuitive when crispy results were desired. Yet, African American cooks knew this pause produced superior texture. After coating chicken or fish in flour, pieces were set aside for 10 to 15 minutes before entering hot oil. This resting period allowed flour to hydrate and form paste-like coating, adhering better during frying and developing more substantial crunch. Scientists explain hydrated flour creates stronger gluten networks resisting separation during cooking and crisping more evenly. The technique allowed excess coating to settle, preventing clumps frying unevenly or falling into oil. Grandmothers prepared large batches, and natural wait time created this beneficial rest. What seemed inefficiency was technique refined through generations. Hot sauce integration techniques varied among Black grandmothers, each having preferred methods for adding heat without overwhelming other flavors. Some added Louisiana-style hot sauce directly to the buttermilk soak, letting vinegar and pepper infuse the meat over hours. Others mixed cayenne into seasoned flour, distributing heat evenly across the crust. A few brushed hot sauce onto finished pieces while still glistening from the fryer. The goal was layered heat that built gradually rather than assaulting the tongue. Children with sensitive palates got milder pieces, while adults enjoyed versions that made foreheads sweat. Regional preferences influenced choices. Some families favored vinegar-based sauces, while others preferred thicker pepper blends. This customization showed how basic technique adapted to different tastes. Breakfast preparation efficiency meant one skillet could cook an entire morning meal in sequence without washing between items. Black mothers in the 1960s feeding families before work and school needed speed and simplicity. The cast iron skillet started with bacon, is rendered fat remaining in the pan to fry eggs, which were followed by potatoes crisped in the remaining grease. Nothing was wasted. Nothing required scrubbing between steps. The flavors built upon each other. Bacon-scented eggs, pork-flavored potatoes. Children ate plates assembled from this single-pan production, while mothers worked efficiently at the stove. The skillet was wiped with a cloth between uses, never washed with soap that would strip seasoning. This system fed families quickly on busy mornings when time was precious. Maintaining oil temperature by frying in small batches was a discipline African American cooks practiced religiously despite temptation to rush. Overcrowding the pan drops oil temperature dramatically, causing food to absorb excess grease rather than crisping properly on exterior. Working in small batches keeps oil hot enough to immediately seal coating and begin crisping, creating shatteringly crisp texture defining excellent fried foods. Scientists confirm optimal frying occurs within narrow temperature window, and adding too much food pushes temperatures below this range. The patients required frustrated, hurried cooks, but grandmothers understood shortcuts produce soggy, greasy results. This discipline separated truly exceptional fried chicken from mediocre versions absorbing oil like sponges. Cast iron fish frying mastery required different techniques than chicken, and Black grandmothers adjusted their methods accordingly. Fish cooked faster, needed hotter oil, and demanded gentler handling to prevent delicate flesh from breaking. Catfish fillets got dredged in cornmeal rather than flour, the coarser coating creating distinctive crunch. The oil had to be properly hot. Too cool and coating absorbed grease. Too hot and it burned before fish cooked through. Grandmothers flipped fish only once using thin spatulas that slid beneath without tearing. Pieces came out when they floated and turned deep golden, usually just 4 or 5 minutes per side. Friday fish fries brought families together, the smell of cornmeal-crusted catfish announcing the weekend had arrived. This mastery showed how the same skillet served different purposes. Skimming debris from frying oil constantly was a practice keeping oil clean and extending its useful life through multiple batches. African American cooks kept slotted spoons beside stove, removing floating flour particles and coating fragments that would otherwise burn and impart bitter flavors. Clean oil produces cleaner tasting fried foods, while debris-filled oil transfers burnt flavors to everything cooked in it. Scientists confirm removing particulates prevents oxidation and thermal degradation, keeping oil stable and safe for longer use. The technique also prevented black specks from adhering to golden coating, maintaining visual appeal, making fried foods so appetizing. This constant attention seemed obsessive to observers, but results spoke through superior flavor and appearance. Flour dredging in paper bags was the mess-free technique Black grandmothers perfected for coating chicken, fish, and pork chops. Seasoned flour went into a large brown paper bag along with pieces of meat. The bag was folded closed, then shaken vigorously until every piece wore an even coat. Children often helped with the shaking, turning kitchen work into something playful. The paper absorbed excess moisture while distributing flour evenly without creating countertop disaster. When finished, the bag went straight into trash, leaving nothing to wash. The technique worked because confined space and agitation coated every surface. Some grandmothers added secret spice blends to the flour, creating proprietary mixtures that defined their signature fried foods. The paper bag method was practical genius that delivered perfectly coated results. Using bacon drippings to start frying oil added flavor depth that pure vegetable oil could never achieve. African American cooks saved rendered bacon fat in jars kept near stove, adding spoonfuls to fresh oil before frying chicken or vegetables. The bacon fat contributed smoky, savory notes permeating coating and meat, creating complexity single-source oils lacked. Scientists recognize blending fats creates unique flavor profiles while potentially improving smoke point performance. The technique stretched precious cooking fats further while adding flavor layers, making simple fried foods taste sophisticated. Grandmothers never wasted bacon drippings, understanding their value in building flavor foundations, elevating everyday cooking. This frugal practice produced results expensive restaurants now try replicating. The resting period after frying was crucial knowledge Black grandmothers understood instinctively. Fried foods pulled straight from hot grease were good, but those allowed to rest on wire racks for several minutes reached another level. During this pause, the crust continued to crisp as residual heat escaped while juices redistributed evenly through the meat. Cutting into chicken too soon released precious moisture that should have stayed locked within. The resting period also allowed excess grease to drip away, making each bite cleaner and crunchier. Children learned patience watching their grandmothers hold back the family from grabbing pieces too quickly. That waiting time transformed good fried food into perfect fried food. The technique required self-control, but rewarded patience handsomely. Blackstrap molasses cakes and upside-down desserts achieved their signature caramelization only in cast iron's intense heat. Black bakers in the 1960s knew that certain desserts required the skillet's unique properties to achieve proper results. Pineapple upside-down cake needed the bottom sugar layer to caramelize into amber syrup, something only cast iron's heat could accomplish. The butter and brown sugar melted together in the hot pan before fruit was arranged and batter poured over. When inverted, the cake emerged with a glossy, caramelized top impossible to replicate in glass or aluminum. Cobblers bubbled more intensely, their crust crisping better against the iron. Cornmeal cakes developed deeper color and richer flavor. These desserts became family specialties, their success depending entirely on grandmother's cast iron pan. Buttermilk soaking before frying was the tenderizing secret that made Black grandmother's fried chicken legendary across the South. Chicken pieces went into bowls of tangy buttermilk for hours or overnight, the acid working slowly to break down tough fibers while adding subtle flavor. The buttermilk also helped flour coating adhere better, creating thicker crust that stayed put during frying. Some grandmothers added hot sauce or garlic to their buttermilk baths. Children would peer into refrigerators at bowls of soaking chicken, anticipating the meal to come. When soaked pieces met seasoned flour, the wet surface grabbed coating eagerly. The science was simple. Acid tenderizes protein, but results seemed like magic. This patient technique separated Sunday dinner chicken from everyday meals. Stovetop to oven versatility meant one pan could handle nearly any cooking method, saving money and space in small kitchens. Black families in the 1960s often lived in apartments with limited storage, making multi-purpose cookware essential. The cast iron skillet moved seamlessly from burner to oven, starting dishes on the stovetop and finishing them under broiler heat. Cornbread began in hot grease on the flame, then transferred to the oven for even browning. Frittatas started with sautéed vegetables before eggs were added, and the whole pan slid into the oven. Cobblers bubbled on the stovetop before baking. This versatility eliminated the need for multiple specialized pans. A single skillet could braise, fry, bake, roast, and sear. Families without much counter space appreciated having one reliable tool instead of cluttered cabinets. Egg wash for extra crunch was the technique Black grandmothers used when regular dredging wasn't enough. Between the buttermilk soak and the flour coating, pieces got dipped in beaten egg that created an additional binding layer. This extra step meant the flour adhered more completely and built up thicker, creating crunchier crust that stayed intact longer. Some grandmothers did double dips, flour, then egg, then flour again, building armor-like coating. The egg also contributed to deeper golden color during frying, making the finished pieces look as good as they tasted. This technique took extra time and dirtied more dishes, so it was reserved for special occasions when appearance and texture mattered most. Children noticed the difference immediately, the extra crunch announcing something special had been made. The draining station setup was practical engineering that Black grandmothers arranged before any frying began. Wire cooling racks set over sheet pans caught dripping grease while allowing air to circulate beneath fried foods, keeping bottoms crispy. Some kitchens used brown paper bags layered with paper towels, the paper absorbing excess fat. The station sat close enough to transfer hot pieces quickly, but far enough from the stove to avoid splatter. Everything was arranged in sequence: raw food on one side, flour station in the middle, frying pan central, and draining area opposite. This assembly line organization prevented cross-contamination and kept workflow smooth. Children helped by replacing saturated papers and monitoring the growing pile of golden chicken. The setup showed how planning ahead made cooking easier. Passed down through generations, cast iron skillets moved from great-grandmother to mother to daughter, accumulating history with each transfer. In Black families during the 1960s, these pans represented continuity during tremendous change. The civil rights movement, migration to northern cities, transformation of American life. A skillet that cooked for sharecroppers was now cooking in Chicago apartments, a tangible connection to Southern roots. Children heard stories attached to the pan: the meal grandfather proposed over, the Christmas dinner during the war, the first Sunday supper in the new house up north. Each scratch was a chapter in family history. Some families traced their skillets back to Reconstruction, passed from freed ancestors to descendants. The pan outlived everyone who used it. The flip once rule governed fried chicken in Black kitchens, where grandmothers understood that constant turning ruined the crust. Each piece went into hot grease and stayed put until the bottom side turned deep golden brown, usually 8 to 10 minutes depending on thickness. Only then did the chicken get flipped, cooking another 8 minutes on the second side. Lifting and checking released heat, extended cooking time, and risked the coating separating from the meat. The patience required was considerable, but the reward was chicken with an unbroken crust on both sides. Children watching at the stove learned to trust the process rather than fidgeting with food. Grandmothers could tell doneness by sound alone, the sizzle changing pitch as moisture cooked away. This single flip discipline separated masters from amateurs. Using eggless batters for lighter crust was a technique African American cooks employed when delicate texture was desired over heavy coating. Flour mixed with water or buttermilk alone created thinner batters, crisping into lacy, shatteringly light crusts, impossible with egg-based coatings. Scientists explain eggs add protein structure, creating denser coatings, while eggless batters rely on gluten development for more delicate texture. The technique worked particularly well for fish and vegetables, where heavy batters would overwhelm food beneath. Grandmothers chose coating styles based on what they were frying. Understanding one approach did not suit all ingredients. This flexibility demonstrated deep knowledge underlying apparently simple traditional techniques. The lid-on steam finish was a technique Black grandmothers used to ensure thick chicken pieces cooked through without burning the exterior. After achieving beautiful golden crust on both sides, the skillet got partially covered, trapping steam that gently finished cooking the interior. The lid stayed slightly ajar to let some steam escape, preventing the crust from turning soggy. This method worked especially well for bone-in thighs and drumsticks that needed extra time to reach safe temperature. Without the lid, the outside would blacken before the inside. Finished. Grandmothers monitored carefully, removing the cover during final minutes to re-crisp any softened coating. The technique showed sophisticated understanding of heat and moisture management. Children learned that cooking required constant attention. Seasoning oil directly with aromatics was a technique African American cooks used to infuse deep flavor before frying even began. Garlic cloves, onion pieces, or herb sprigs were fried briefly in oil until fragrant, then removed before cooking commenced. Aromatics released their flavors into fat, which then transferred to everything subsequently fried. Scientists confirm fat-soluble flavor compounds dissolve into oil and distribute throughout foods cooked in it, creating more complex taste than surface seasoning alone. The technique was especially valuable when coating seasonings might burn at frying temperatures. Grandmothers learned which aromatics worked best, building flavor libraries passed between generations that elevated ordinary fried foods. Frying in shallow oil instead of deep was a technique African American cooks preferred for achieving crispy results with less fat absorption. Pan frying in 1 to 2 inches of oil allowed pieces to rest on pan bottom, conducting heat through metal while oil crisped exposed surfaces. This method used far less oil than deep frying, while producing excellent results when pieces were turned at proper intervals. Scientists confirm shallow frying achieves comparable Maillard reactions and crispness with reduced oil absorption due to limited submersion time. Grandmothers mastered flip timing, ensuring even cooking, using sounds and sizzle patterns as guides. This economical technique stretched precious cooking fats while producing exceptional results. Reusing oil multiple times with proper care was a technique African American cooks practiced to stretch expensive cooking fats across many meals. After frying, oil was strained through cloth to remove debris, then stored in cool, dark places until needed again. Each reuse added subtle flavor from previous batches, creating oil that actually fried better than fresh. Scientists confirm properly maintained oil develops polymers, improving heat transfer and browning, while straining removes compounds, causing degradation. The technique required attention to oil condition, discarding batches, darkening excessively, or smelling off. Grandmothers kept dedicated frying oil for weeks. Understanding this resourceful practice improved results when done correctly and carefully. Flour dredging methods in 1960s soul food kitchens went far beyond simple coating techniques. Cooks understood that the way flour adhered to meat determined the entire texture of the finished crust. The process began with patting proteins completely dry, as any moisture created steam pockets, preventing adhesion. Flour was seasoned heavily with salt, pepper, and paprika, then spread across shallow pans, allowing pieces to turn without crowding. The dredging motion was deliberate, pressing flour firmly into every crevice before shaking off excess with controlled wrist flicks. Many cooks double-dredged, returning pieces to flour after brief rests to build thicker crusts. Some families kept dedicated dredging flour that accumulated seasoning over multiple uses. These methods produced crusts that shattered while clinging to moist meat beneath. Fried green tomatoes were clever solutions when frost threatened gardens before everything could ripen. The firm, tart tomatoes were sliced thick, dipped in buttermilk, dredged in cornmeal, then fried until coating turned golden and crisp. The tomato inside softened slightly while retaining its tangy bite, creating flavor unlike anything ripe tomatoes offered. Families served them as side dishes, appetizers, or layered in sandwiches where their tartness cut through richer flavors. The dish appeared at Sunday dinners and weeknight suppers alike, equally at home on formal tables and kitchen counters. Children who grew up eating fried green tomatoes often preferred them to ripe versions, craving that crispy coating and tangy center. This was resourcefulness transformed into tradition. Using coffee grounds to deodorize refrigerators was standard practice in African American households decades before commercial deodorizers existed. Grandmothers would place bowls of spent grounds on refrigerator shelves where they absorbed odors from onions, fish, and leftovers with remarkable effectiveness. Scientists have since confirmed that coffee's porous structure and nitrogen content make it exceptionally effective at trapping volatile odor compounds. The grounds work better than baking soda for many strong smells. This hack recycled kitchen waste into a cleaning solution, exemplifying the waste-nothing philosophy of resourceful households. Women who couldn't afford commercial products created their own solutions, proving that ingenuity could replace spending. Double-dipping batters created the thick, craggy crusts that made 1960s fried chicken legendary. The technique involved coating pieces, first in seasoned flour, then dipping into beaten eggs or buttermilk, and finally returning to flour for a second coating. This layered approach built crusts of remarkable thickness that stayed crispy long after cooking. Some cooks varied the second coating, using cornmeal or crushed crackers instead of repeating flour. The resting period between dips was equally important, as rushing resulted in batters that slid off during frying. Experienced cooks let each layer set briefly before proceeding, building foundations that adhered firmly to protein beneath. The double dipping method produced distinctive ridges that held seasoning and provided textural contrast in every bite. Fried porgies were coastal treasures that brought the taste of the Atlantic to African American tables throughout the Southeast. These small, bony fish were cleaned whole, scored along the sides, seasoned generously, then dredged in cornmeal and fried until skin turned crispy while flesh stayed moist and sweet. Eating them required skill, picking around tiny bones, but those who grew up with porgies considered the effort worthwhile. Families near the coast caught them fresh, while inland communities bought from vendors traveling through neighborhoods. Fried porgies were Friday night suppers, fish fry centerpieces, and weeknight meals when budgets were tight. The entire fish was edible for those willing to crunch through crispy fins and tails. Placed in brown paper bags under fresh baked bread to cool was wisdom passed down through generations of African American bakers. The paper absorbed excess moisture while allowing just enough steam to escape, preventing soggy crust while keeping the interior tender. Modern food scientists now understand this creates perfect humidity balance, maintaining bread quality far better than cooling racks. Grandmothers knew instinctively what laboratories took decades to confirm. The brown paper's porous structure wicked away condensation without removing essential moisture from the crumb. Women saved their grocery bags specifically for this purpose, washing and reusing them until worn thin. Church bake sales featured loaves, cooled this way, their crusts perfectly crisp. Buttermilk soaking was a transformative technique that tenderized tough proteins while creating superior coating adhesion. African American cooks discovered that acid in buttermilk broke down muscle fibers in chicken and pork, producing remarkably tender results after frying. Soaking time varied by protein, with chicken often submerged overnight while smaller pieces required only a few hours. Beyond tenderizing, buttermilk created a tacky surface that grabbed flour and held it firmly throughout frying. Some families added hot sauce directly to the buttermilk bath, allowing flavors to penetrate deep into meat before cooking. The technique was especially valued for older chickens or tougher cuts needing help becoming tender. Buttermilk soaking became so essential that many cooks considered this step non-negotiable for proper soul food. Fried pig ears were crunchy delicacies, showcasing the soul food commitment to using every part of the hog. The ears were cleaned, boiled until tender, then sliced into strips and fried until impossibly crispy, shattering with each bite. The texture was unique, mostly cartilage that became crackling and light when properly fried, carrying mild pork flavor enhanced by seasonings. Families served them as snacks or bar food, often with hot sauce and vinegar on the side. The ears were affordable because butchers sold them cheaply, making them accessible during lean times. Children either loved or avoided them based on texture preferences, but those who acquired the taste craved them into adulthood. Fried pig ears proved resourcefulness and deliciousness could coexist. Using vinegar rinses to make hair shine was an African American beauty secret that hairdressers now scientifically support and recommend. Grandmothers would mix apple cider vinegar with water for final rinses after washing, producing remarkable shine and manageability that lasted for days. Scientists have confirmed that vinegar's acidity closes the hair cuticle, smoothing scales that cause dullness while removing soap residue. This technique was especially valuable for natural hair textures, enhancing curl definition and reducing tangles without expensive products. Women would share their exact ratios at beauty parlors, perfecting formulas through generations of careful experimentation. The practice cost pennies compared to commercial products. Paper bag dredging was a clever method that simplified coating while minimizing mess in busy kitchens. African American cooks placed seasoned flour inside sturdy brown paper bags, added a few pieces of meat at a time, then shook vigorously until everything was evenly coated. The enclosed space created efficient tumbling that covered food more thoroughly than open pan methods. Children were often assigned shaking duties, turning a kitchen chore into playful participation that taught cooking fundamentals. The paper bags absorbed excess flour, leaving pieces with just the right amount of coating rather than heavy clumps. Some families reused bags across multiple meals, allowing them to develop concentrated seasoning that improved subsequent batches. This technique proved that brilliant cooking methods emerged from everyday problem solving. Fried corn fritters were summer celebrations that captured the sweetness of fresh-picked corn in crispy golden packages. Cooks scraped kernels from cobs, Mix them with flour, eggs, and seasonings, then drop spoonfuls into hot oil where they puffed and browned. The fritters were sweet and savory, tender inside with crispy edges, providing textural contrast. Families made these when corn season peaked and ears were so abundant that new uses became necessary. Church picnics featured platters served warm with butter or honey drizzled on top. Children loved them because they tasted almost like dessert while being acceptable as a side dish. Fried corn fritters was summer preserved in every bite, a taste that lingered in memory long after harvest ended. Placing shoes in the freezer to eliminate odors was a technique African American households employed when commercial deodorizers were unavailable. Grandmothers would seal smelly sneakers in plastic bags and freeze them overnight, returning them odor-free by morning. Scientists now confirm that freezing kills bacteria responsible for foot odor, achieving results no spray could match. The extreme cold destroys bacterial cell walls, eliminating the source rather than masking it. This hack was particularly valuable in households with active children whose shoes took serious punishment. Women would clear freezer space on Sunday nights, treating the family's shoes for the week. The practice demonstrated resourceful thinking using existing appliances. Cornmeal coating techniques brought distinctive Southern crunch to fried fish, okra, and countless other dishes. African American cooks understood that cornmeal required different handling than flour, demanding specific textures to achieve its signature crispy coating. The cornmeal was often stone ground locally, with coarser textures preferred for fish, while finer grinds worked better for vegetables. Seasoning was mixed directly into cornmeal, with some cooks adding small amounts of flour to improve adhesion, while others used pure cornmeal for maximum crunch. The coating process required pressing food firmly into the meal, ensuring complete coverage that formed an unbroken shell during frying. Temperature control was critical with cornmeal, as it browned faster than flour. These techniques defined Southern fried catfish. Fried cornmeal mush was breakfast magic that transformed yesterday's leftovers into something crispy and golden for the morning table. Families poured leftover mush into pans, let it set overnight until firm, then sliced it thick and fried each piece in bacon grease until the exterior turned crunchy, while inside stayed soft and creamy. The edges caramelized, adding sweetness that complemented drizzles of molasses or sorghum syrup. This dish wasted nothing, turning what might be discarded into hearty breakfasts that filled bellies before school or work. Children loved the contrast between shatteringly crisp crust and smooth interior, eating slice after slice. The smell of frying cornmeal filled kitchens with warmth on cold mornings. Using bacon grease to season cast iron skillets was the cornerstone of African American kitchen maintenance for generations. Grandmothers carefully saved rendered bacon fat in ceramic crocks kept near the stove, using it to coat skillets after each washing and before storage. Scientists now confirm that animal fats create superior polymerized seasoning layers compared to vegetable oils, bonding more effectively with iron at high temperatures. The practice produced naturally non-stick surfaces that improve with age and continued use. This technique was taught to daughters standing at their mother's elbows, watching simple pork fat transform rough metal into cooking treasures. The seasoned skillets became family heirlooms passed down through generations with pride. The resting period after coating was a crucial step that many modern cooks unknowingly skip. African American grandmothers understood that freshly coated pieces needed time before entering hot oil, allowing flour to hydrate slightly and form stronger bonds with the surface beneath. This resting period, typically 10 to 15 minutes, transformed loose, dusty coatings into firm shells that would not fall off during frying. Pieces that rested before frying emerged with intact crusts, while rushed batches left flour floating in the oil and bare spots on finished food. Some cooks placed coated pieces on wire racks during this waiting period, while others used wax paper-lined trays. The patience required contradicted the desire to eat quickly, but those who honored the resting period were rewarded with perfectly coated fried foods. Which banned technique will you try first? Drop your answer in the comments, hit like, and subscribe for more forgotten cooking wisdom.